ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
Benjamin Franklin once quoted, "Investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Ankita Mohindra, on behalf of DAV Centenary College, Faridabad, extend a very warm and heartily welcome to everyone who have joined us today virtually. We are here for 2 days International Virtual Conference 2021 on shifting paradigms in teaching learning scenario post COVID-19, organized by DAV Centenary College in collaboration with ANET and Literary Voice. This conference was initially planned in the month of April, but due to the pandemic situation, this got postponed. We are thankful to all of you who showed interest and joined us today. DAV Centenary College was established in 1985 under the aegis of DAV College Managing Committee, New Delhi, the renowned international charitable educational organization, to mark the 100th year of phenomenal service rendered. We have been ranked a great college by NAC. In the history of our college, today is the first instance when the entire conference will take place on the digital platform. It is my pleasure to welcome and introduce you to the esteemed guests present today. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Rajbir Singh Ji, Vice Chancellor, MD University, Rohtak. We also have with us Shri Shivraman Gaurji, Director General Higher Education, DAV CMC, who will preside over the conference. Our distinguished guest of honor, Professor Niranjan Kumarji, Department of Hindi, University of Delhi. Secretary ANET, Professor Amolji, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Delhi. Keynote speaker, Dr. Charu Sharma, Associate Professor, Government College, Shahpur, and Associate Editor, Literary Voice. Respected Principal Ma'am, Dr. Savita Bhagat, other dignitaries and the participants. The world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having some of them here today. Such a proud moment for DAV Centenary College to have so much talent and expertise under one roof. Moving ahead, I would like to request convener Mr. Shivam Jam to please brief us about today's conference. Over to you, Shivam.
Thank you so much, Ankita ma'am. A warm welcome to everyone to this international conference on shifting paradigms in the teaching learning scenario post-COVID-19. As we all know that this is in collaboration with one of the best organizations, ANET, Association of English Teachers and Literary Voice. We have received a number of papers from different parts of the world. Believe me, we all are very lucky who have got this golden opportunity to listen to some innovative ideas, which would definitely help us, the teachers, to teach higher order cognitive skills and change the passive learning to active. We'll be sharing to some innovative ideas today. Best of luck. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shivam. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, then you are a leader. This quote totally suits our respected principal ma'am, who always inspire us to do best in all the fields, whether it is academics, research, or any other. Now I request you, ma'am, to kindly welcome our guest and share a few words.
Namaskar and good morning to everyone present in this virtual 2-day international conference, which is being organized by DAV Centenary College in collaboration with INET and Literary Voice. First of all, I would like to extend a very respectful welcome to the chief guest of the day, Professor Rajbir Singh Ji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak. Sir, we are really obliged and thankful to you for sparing time from your busy schedule to join the inaugural session of the conference. We are really fortunate to be working under your able and sagacious guidance. The university has made a very good name for itself, both in academics and extracurricular activities. Under your visionary stewardship, and the way you have managed the currently ongoing pandemic situation for all the stakeholders speaks volumes for your leadership qualities. Sir, your humility, your democratic style of working, and your ability to take quick decisions, I have personally observed in the meetings, and that makes you much respected and admired leaders. For leaders like you, our prayers are that may your tribe increase. Once again, thanks from the core of my heart and welcome to the conference. We extend a very respectful and loving welcome to Shri Shiv Raman Gaurji, retired IAS, DHE, DAV College Managing Committee, New Delhi, who very kindly agreed to preside over today's inaugural session. I think he hasn't joined so far. He's facing some difficulty in joining the program. In absentia, we are grateful to him for agreeing to give his blessings to us. I know that he keeps very busy. I express many thanks to him for sparing his valuable time. And welcome, sir, on this academic platform. We are looking forward to him and would like to have his blessings also. Our guest of honor this morning, Professor Niranjan Kumar from Delhi University, is a very well-known personality in academic circles, not only nationally, but also internationally. We welcome you and are really eager to listen to your insights on the theme of this conference, sir. I express my deep-felt thanks to INET and special thanks to the Secretary, INET, Professor Anmol Padwarji, who has been gracious enough to collaborate with our college to organize this two-day international conference, which has a wide participation of noted academicians as keynote speakers, panelists, and chairpersons, to all of whom I extend a very warm welcome. It's a matter of great honor and privilege for us that Dr. Charu, Associate Professor, Government College Dharamshala, and who is also Associate Editor of the prestigious journal Literary Voice, has also joined and would be delivering her keynote address on one of the sub-themes of the conference. I also extend a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries who are going to be with us over these 2 days, as well as to all the delegates who are either going to present papers or are here just for the love of learning. Now, coming to the theme of the conference, as we all know, our existence in the world has always been very tentative and vulnerable. Nature and natural phenomena are so powerful that a minuscule change in the movement of heavenly bodies can annihilate life in a fraction of minutes. And the vast size of the universe and its working have always created awe and fear in the minds of people. The advent and progress of science and technology in the last 100 years or so made us believe that as if we are the masters of the universe and everything is under the realm of human control. But a small virus, small virus, which has caused destruction all around, has once again made humanity realize that we are mere dwarf in the cosmic scheme of things. And our existence basically is dependent on the fine working of so many factors which are outside our control. Now, organizers of the program who have set the theme, teaching, learning, change in the paradigm of teaching and learning, my first teaching, and I think for all the first teaching of nature and learning for all of us in this pandemic is that life as such cannot be taken for granted. And we should always be prepared to adapt and change with the changing reality. In this world, which is VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, nothing can be predicted with certainty, howsoever hard we may try. For once, every segment of our settled existence, be it social, economic, or cultural, has become unsettled because of this pandemic. So here are lessons for our life: to be flexible, to be open-minded, and to turn adversities into opportunities. Teaching and learning process, right from kindergarten to higher education, to vocational, to professional, has changed. Since ages, we have gone to schools and colleges and institutes to sit in the comfort of classrooms and learn in person from our teachers, instructors, feeling very confident in learning from our seniors, peer groups, and a range of other formal and informal face-to-face interactions. Now that whole story has changed, and we are all glued to our screens, and the whole process of teaching and learning has become digital. So the education sector has seen a massive shift in the last 1.5 years. We have become so much used to the comfort of holding webinars, conferences, faculty development programs, interviews for faculty, and viva versa for doctorate students in the online mode, that I know many would support me that when things go back to normal, people would not be ready to give up the convenience digital mode has provided us. Yes, I know and understand that face-to-face interactions are also very important, and students lacking the wherewithal of digital learning are not able to cope up with the changed reality. But if students are mature and they want to be lifelong learners, interested in experimenting in self-directed learning with minimum control of the teacher, online and digital mode are the best for such learners. To sum up, my take on the impact of COVID on teaching learning is that digital has come, digital is going to stay, and digital is going to flourish. The only requirement is to democratize the whole system, providing infrastructure for all, so that the benefits are availed of not only by the few privileged, but by everyone. My best wishes to the organizing team of this conference, who have worked very hard for its success, and once again, a very warm welcome to all. Thank you so much. Over to Ankita.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your thought-provoking words. Now, not taking much of your time, I would like to introduce and invite Secretary in it, Professor Amol ji. Amol sir is currently Professor and Director, Center for English Language Education, Ambedkar University, Delhi, and has over 35 years of teaching, training, and research experience. He is the Secretary in it, Association of English Teachers, besides being a former National President of English Language Teachers Association of India. He has been an ELT trainer and consultant for various government and non-government agencies and has successfully managed several ELT projects. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and very good morning. All the distinguished dignitaries present today at this inauguration, and such a wide and diverse spectrum of participants coming from such a different geographical diverse locations. A very warm welcome to this two-day international conference organized by DAV Centenary College, which INET has been extremely delighted to support. Because INET Association of English Teachers is a national association which has constantly been striving to promote professional growth of English teachers in particular. And we have been constantly collaborating with a series of institutions, agencies, organizations, and even small groups and communities to organize whatever the participants and the concerned people feel valuable in terms of their own professional development. When this conference was being planned, the obvious choice for the theme was what we were currently going through, the COVID experience. But another critical question was, is this experience enough, or does it qualify to be called a paradigm shift? Because paradigm shift is a term which is often very casually used, and every small change is termed as paradigm shift. I feel often surprised to see papers being presented at conferences on paradigm shift in the classroom. But if we carefully look at this term, which was originally proposed by the famous American physicist and philosopher Thomas Kuhn, a paradigm shift is a fundamental change in concepts and practices. And remember, it's a massive change. It fundamentally changes everything from our thinking to our behavior, to our action, to our practices. And it covers not a few individuals or small communities. It covers the whole world. It covers the whole domain in a particular discipline. Thomas Kuhn specifically used it in scientific research, but as we are aware, it has come to be used in all kinds of massive changes. And we consciously agree that the COVID pandemic experience definitely qualifies to be called a trigger for a paradigm shift. I'm deliberately using the word trigger because COVID pandemic is not the paradigm shift. It is a cause. It is a reason which is pushing us towards a paradigm shift. As I will come back to it in a moment, the paradigm shift has just begun. But before that, I would like to point out that we are at the moment passing through and personally experiencing one of the defining moments in the world history. And we are very fortunate and unfortunate both to be living at this time. Fortunate because we are firsthand experiencing something that future generations will only read in history books. The way we read about the First World War or the Second World War as the defining moments, because everything is described using those defining moments as points of reference. So we typically talk about the world before the Second World War and the world after the Second World War. Very soon, we will be talking about the pre-COVID world and the post-COVID world, as our Prime Minister mentioned in one of his speeches a couple of months ago. In that sense, this is a defining moment. We are fortunate because we are living through this historic moment. We are seeing historical changes unfolding before our eyes. But we are also unfortunate because we are also the first-hand sufferers of this defining change. We have to live through the crisis. We have to not only live, but survive and continue to go on and progress through this crisis. So on the one hand, we are forced to suffer these unsettling changes, but on the other hand, we are also forced to find ways of dealing with it without the advantage of complete understanding, which future generations will have. So we are a kind of, if I can use that metaphor, we are a kind of passengers on an aeroplane, which has already started flying, but we are building the airplane while flying it. And that's why what we find over the last year and even now are tentative responses to a crisis. Extremely natural, nothing wrong in that. Because on the one hand, we are trying to make sense of the challenges before us. And on the other hand, without waiting for complete sense, we have to start trying out solutions. The conference that we are attending right now is a tentative solution to a crisis situation. But this crisis is also an opportunity, a big opportunity, because this has unsettled everything to such an extent that it's not only teachers, not only students, not only school administrations, but even politicians, ministers, family leaders, organizational leaders, every domain, everybody in all parts of the world has been forced to change our thinking and our perceptions. In that sense, it's easier for people to accept change and innovation. And that's why we find our governments, ministries, our school administration much more open to new experiments and changes than would have been possible last year. We were anyway moving towards a more digitized, virtual, blended, whatever you call it, kind of education. Pandemic has massively speeded up that process, but at the same time also increased the acceptability. And that's why I call this a big opportunity, which we must cash on. Those who make the best of this opportunity will be the best survivors and will very quickly move to the new normal, because I personally don't believe there is any chance of going back to the old normal. So we are going forward to the new normal. And in this new normal, we will have to work with new concepts, new notions, And that's why when we come back to the theme of the conference, we are also indirectly trying to suggest that the paradigm shift will happen. It's still not underway. What is happening at the moment during the last year, and I believe for at least one more year to come, what is happening is the dismantling of the old paradigm. And unless the old paradigm is dismantled, the new paradigm will not emerge. Currently, we are going through the transition phase where the old is on the way out, the new is yet to arrive, and we are somehow struggling, trying to swim, trying to float in this drowning situation. When the new paradigm emerges, are we ready for it? How do we make ourselves ready for it? That is one lesson that we wanted to highlight through the theme. And the other lesson, other question, other critical point that we wanted to highlight through the theme was the hyphen between the two words teaching, learning. Because the paradigm shift will not necessarily be the same kind of shift in teaching and in learning. And there would be, I'm absolutely sure, there will be occasions where we will have to think of new teaching separately from new learning. Look at the changes and shifts for teaching as separate from learning, because both these things are moving on their own way. I hope that, as is quite expected and natural for this kind of conference on this kind of theme, I hope there will be scores of individual experiments and experiences that we will hear in the conference papers and presentations. Lots of insights and ideas will gather, and those will be our provision as we start our journey towards the emergence of a new paradigm. So before I conclude, I would just like to remind each of us that let us live with the dismantling of the old paradigm. Though we feel nostalgic, though we feel sad, we feel tragic about the loss that we have no way to escape. At the same time, let us also be happy that we are going to be the pioneers, builders of the new paradigm. Let us try to understand what the new paradigm requires, and let us put our small squirrel's share into the construction of the new paradigm. This conference will be a small contribution towards that journey. I wish you all a fantastic, fabulous, enriching experience. And I do believe that you will have lots of insights and ideas to take away. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well said, that we have actually learned to do the crisis management and started living new normal. I feel privileged to take this opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Professor Rajbir Singh Ji. A leader is a one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Although a personality like his stature does not need any introduction, but will definitely brief about him, Professor Rajbir Singh Ji is serving as Vice Chancellor in MD University, Rohtak. He has held many positions during his tenure, like Professor and Director, Institute of Mass Communication and Media Technology, Director Consortium for Educational Communication, New Delhi. Sir has written over and above 50 research papers. Sir has received an award and commendation from Honorable President for outstanding contribution towards digital initiatives in higher education led by MHRD. We are so proud of you, sir, that you also received an award for leadership in education through ICT in March 2017. Sir has received Triveni Award in recognition of outstanding contribution to media education across 3 states, Punjab, Himachal, and Haryana, from the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh. He served as a chairperson in committees for selection of vice chancellors of several universities, and besides this, he has chaired more than 24 UGC expert committees. He also served as member in more than a dozen committees for evaluation of major research projects for funding by UGC. Sir has served as a resource person in more than 100 training refresher courses, seminars, conferences, convocations, etc. Sir, you have made all of us so proud by your distinguished work in numerous capacities and contributed a lot in the progress of university and the colleges affiliated under the university. You are a man of distinct vision and fountainhead of illuminating ideas, an idol of knowledge and experience. Sir, you are an inspiration for all of us by being a living example of kindness and selfless service. We have been associated with Sir since long time. He was also with us in the conference of 2019. It is a proud moment of our college that Sir has joined this conference as chief guest today. And thank you so much, Sir, for sparing your valuable time and gracing the occasion. I would request you, Sir, to kindly please share a few words and inspire us once again. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you. And good morning to all of you. First of all, let me thank the management of DAV Centenary College, its principal, Dr. Savita Bhagat, the faculty members, and of course the organizers of this two-day international virtual conference on shifting paradigms in teaching and learning post COVID-19. With all respect to Professor Amol from Ambedkar University, Delhi, Dr. Charu Sharma, Sri Sivaraman Gaudji, retired IAS officer from Haryana and now contributing with the same zeal to the DAV family. So Niranjan Kumar, Department of Hindi, University of Delhi, who is presiding this inaugural session of this conference, and my dear all participants. I think the topic chosen by the principal and her team is very relevant and timely also. And I'm happy the speaker you have invited, the opening speaker, Professor Amol, very briefly and aptly, I would say, he has outlined the introduction of this conference in a very beautiful way. Since man from the language, and I'm happy he has a knack for the topic also. Shifting paradigm. It's not a paradigm shift, it's shifting paradigm. And it is quite interesting. I know Dr. Savita Bhagat and her team has very aptly chosen the word the shifting paradigm. It could have been paradigm shifted, about which I do feel Professor Amol has commented. But beautifully, they have chosen the word the shifting paradigm, the pattern is shifting, the teaching learning pattern is shifting. There is no doubt about it. The COVID-19 has forced us, compelled us to change the pattern of teaching and learning. We are forced initially But I do feel now we have, to some extent, we have adjusted. And the pattern, the changing pattern, we have started appreciating in one way or other. I would like to share some of the experiences we have experienced at MDU. Instead of any theoretical construct I would be putting before you, I would like to share some of the experiences, how we can witness this shifting paradigm in our teaching and learning this post-COVID. I think in the month of March itself in 2020, all of a sudden, we have to close our institutions. And nobody knew that how the things will be going or will be unfolding. We were not aware of. But fortunately, I had a small stint with the UGC as a director, CEC, Consortium for Educational Communication, which is an inter-university center of UGC, where I had opportunity for digital content creation in higher education, more specifically at undergraduate level. And I'm happy to share that during my tenure as director of CEC, the country has been able to design the entire undergraduate program we are offering through our colleges and universities. The whole range of 97 subjects were digitized. The digital content on 97 subjects were made available. I got this opportunity to work with more than 5,000 teachers across different colleges, different universities. The best available lot. I'm saying the best available lot who were involved in this content creation at UG level and later on for PG programs also through UGC. And I was also given the responsibility later on to develop digital content on PG subjects also. And when I left the CEC, when I left CEC as director in December, 31st of December 2017, my worry was that this content is available on different platforms on CEC portal as well as UGC EPG Pathshala portal. And we were worried how to take this content to students, to masses, to the users. Sometimes the challenges also offer opportunities. And in case of this pandemic created by COVID-19, there was a challenge before all of us. The challenge before the teachers, before the management, that how to take forward, how to ensure that the students' academic year the students should not lose their academic year. And we accepted this challenge, our teachers accepted this challenge. We all know that we were not prepared, but fortunately, after this, my stint at UGC, as I shared with you, I was given the assignment of the Vice Chancellor of the State University of Performing and Visual Art at Rohtak a relatively new university in the area of this art or performing art or visual art. And subsequently, I was given, in addition, the charge of one of the largest university, I would say, in Haryana. Today, earlier it was Kurukshetra, but today it is Maharishi Dayanand University, which is large in size in terms of the number of the students enrolled in different affiliated colleges and even on campus. I took this opportunity that before the pandemic period, since I had a background, and this was in my mind, that we have so much content with the National Repository, the CEC, and this UGC. So I consciously, even I took up this issue with some of the affiliate colleges also, and wherever I went as Vice Chancellor, interacted with the principals and the faculty at colleges, even at university level. Through our Faculty Development Center, we organized a lot of orientation and a lot of training program for the teachers, that how to utilize and how to blend and how to supplement and complement our conventional education with this technology-enabled education. And you see that it was in January 2019, I was given the responsibility of this Maharishi Dayanand University in addition as Vice Chancellor. And the same year, throughout the year in 2019, we roughly organized 7 or 8 large size orientation and training program for our teachers at university level and even for colleges. And incidentally, it was in March 2020. Institutions were closed because of the spreading menace of this COVID-19 coronavirus. But this orientation helped us a lot. And we have been able to adapt to the changing environment, the changed environment. Our teacher already, they to some extent, they were comfortable to some extent in a blended mode, the use of digital content in their classrooms and outside classroom. Why I am saying this with all of you, that certainly there is a shift in paradigm in teaching and learning post-COVID. But the important point is how to handle this shift. I'm of the firm belief, the pandemic or no pandemic, it's much before the discussion were around that how to make a higher education, the delivery of higher education cost effective. The Western world were quite conscious of this fact much before this pandemic. And we all know the lot of learning, digital learning platform, edX, Coursera, and many more. And now we have some platform, our indigenously developed platform. And I was the member of the team who developed this sub platform, which is the only available platform where we have allowed our students to earn credit for online kind of courses. So I'm of the opinion that whether pandemic or no pandemic, but certainly the pandemic has forced us to go for online learning, online teaching and learning, including the assessment and evaluation. We have shifted to online. But for sure, the online teaching, the blended mode of the teaching, the digital way of learning is going to stay. It is going to be part of our delivery mechanism, content delivery mechanism. And of course, in many ways, just to mention one or two, we all know that our institutions, they are facing shortage of faculty at all level, be it college level or be it university. And I'm not saying the teachers are good or bad. Every teacher has some quality. It is only we can see it from this angle that one may be having certain quality of teaching, one may be having certain quality of research, or one may be having some extracurricular activity is being also performed by our teachers. So every person has some quality. It is for the leader to identify those quality and put the right person at the right job. But certainly, if you look at this problem from the angle that we are short of a specialized kind of a the teacher who are having a special knowledge domain, the expert in a special area. Say I may not be good at fundamentals of communication, but how a teacher who is good at fundamental of communication or the theories of communication, how the teacher can be made available for other institutions. Physically, it may not be possible, but certainly we can make it possible through technology. The recorded lectures, or today, even the OTT platform, the interaction is also possible. It's not only today a one-way communication, it's a two-way communication is possible. So a particular teacher who is having expertise in a particular domain area of knowledge, he can be made available across country or across world. And that's why I always say, whenever I speak about this, the technology-enabled learning or digital learning through digital platform, you may not agree today, but for sure it is going to happen. The teachers are going to be the celebrities for tomorrow. Celebrity कौन होता है? जिसके फैन फॉलोअर जो हैं बड़ी संख्या में होंगे, सेलिब्रिटी होते हैं. अभी तक हमें जो है सिनेमा वर्ल्ड में जो है लोग हैं ये लगाते हैं, वो सेलिब्रिटीज हैं, स्पोर्ट्स स्टार्स हैं. टीचर्स एज सेलिब्रिटी जो है बहुत कम ये कॉन्सेप्ट अभी तक एस्टेब्लिश हुआ है. बट you may remember by this statement in time to come, and hope so, कि आने वाले दिनों के सेलिब्रिटीज जो होंगे वो टीचर्स होंगे. और ये पैंडेमिक के दौरान ये चीज जो है आपको नजर भी आई होगी कि जो टीचर टेक्नोलॉजी पे जो comfortable हैं और those who have tried to reach out to the maximum number of the students, they have acquired a sort of popularity. और ये जो लर्निंग डिजिटल लर्निंग प्लेटफॉर्म है, आप जितने बड़े प्लेटफॉर्म को आप ज्वाइन करेंगे, अब मैं स्वयं प्लेटफॉर्म की बात करूं, विच इज इंडिजीनियसली डेवलप्ड डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म बाय MHRD, उसमें कुछ कोर्सेज पे जो टीचर्स ऑफर कर रहे हैं, लाखों की संख्या में स्टूडेंट्स जो है उसको ज्वाइन किए हुए, और एक बहुत अच्छा कोर्स अगर हम डेवलप करके उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे ऑफर करते हैं तो लाखों की संख्या में जो है स्टूडेंट्स हैं. Here I would like to even name a person. Probably you might have heard his name also. I had been student of the great teacher Professor Bhim Singh Dahiya, जो है English literature जो है, he used to teach English literature at Kurukshetra University. I think he is 83 plus. When I was director of CEC, I requested him to deliver some lecture on American literature. He is expert in American literature. So he had a series of lectures on CEC platform about this American literature, and later on a series of maybe 20 or 40 lecture on this history of English literature. And I would like to tell you, Mr. Bhim Singh Dahiya, he shared with me that after putting this these lecture series on CEC platform and on YouTube, people from neighboring country, from Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even from some Arab countries, they tried to contact Professor Bhim Singh Dahiya that, sir, can you put some more lectures in these areas? The point is that he shared me that I had never been so popular, or my popularity is now across many countries as a teacher. So this is the potential of the digital platform for teaching and learning. The effectiveness of platform will depend upon your comfort level for delivery, and of course the quality of the content you will be delivering, your preparedness for the same. But certainly, coming to the concluding point, that there is a shift in paradigm. The COVID has compelled us, or it has made us, or it has prepared us for this shift in the pattern of teaching and learning. Now it is for us, for teachers, how best we can prepare ourselves for the challenges, and how best we can convert the challenges we are facing into opportunities. That depends upon us. That depends upon the institutions, leaders, the principals. How best they can create the environment, the infrastructure, by taking up this issue with the management and preparing teachers. One more point I would like to mention, and you all agree, that it is the student community which accepted this, rather they were at a better comfort level in use of technology, better than some of us, यानी जो हम टीचर्स हमारे से भी मतलब जो है टेक्नोलॉजी के यूज में यंग लोग जो है, स्टूडेंट्स कम्युनिटी जो है, और यही वजह रहा कि of course some constraints are there, the issue of the connectivity is there, the issue of access devices is there. I do agree, these constraints are there, but adaptability की अगर कोई बात है तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि students they are more adapt to new changes, technological changes, or they are better oriented in their way of life for adoption of this technology. ये हम सब के लिए, हम टीचर्स के लिए खासकर ये जो है एक अदरवाइज तो we as a society we are status posed. हम जो चीजें जैसे चल रही हैं वैसे चलने में, ज्यादा छेड़छाड़ करने में विश्वास नहीं है, जो जैसा चल रहा है उसी में ज्यादा विश्वास हमारा रहता है। लेकिन ये एक ऐसी सिचुएशन क्रिएट हुई जिसमें वी वर फोर्स्ड, और अब तो डॉक्टर सुनीता सी विल एग्री कि हम ऑफलाइन की बात करते हैं एग्जाम लेने की भी, और हमारे बच्चे कहते हैं नहीं हम तो ऑनलाइन थे। रीजन में भी डिफरेंट थे, बट उस बात को भी अप्रिशिएट किया जाना चाहिए कि बच्चे ऑनलाइन की बात करते हैं, कि कम से कम एक माइंड सेट तो हुआ है, और इसके एडवांटेज भी हैं। साथ साथ में हम डिस्कस भी करते हैं कि नो डाउट आई हैड a small stint of 5 years as director CEC. I got the opportunity to develop this infrastructure as well as develop content and providing this content on digital platform. But still, I would say classroom teaching is no substitute for this online learning. But certainly we can blend this with the conventional mode of learning, teaching and learning, and we can make it more effective. And certain the gaps are there, we can think of, and we can plug those gaps. And as I said, a teacher, the expert person, he cannot be made available at each place, at every institutions. So through technology enabled learning, we can make available the expert at many places. So we can supplement, this way we can complement, and we can enrich our delivery system this way. So this shift in paradigm of this teaching learning paradigm, I think this is a welcome step. We need to further strengthen it. We need to prepare our faculty for this shift, and future lies with the blended mode of teaching and learning. And as I said, those who will take lead, they will be leader for tomorrow, and certainly they will prove to be, or they can have the status of celebrity by their capacity, that how best they can develop themselves as a leader in this area. With these words, I again thank Dr. Savita for inviting me on this platform and sharing my thought on the subject. Thank you, Dr. Savita, and your team.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
to the management also. I have already shared this information that I started my career with the DAV college itself. So I always take pride to be the part of the DAV family. Thank you. Thanks to all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Dear beholder. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir has definitely motivated all of us that we should accept the challenges of online teaching and try to be to get the status of celebrity. We'll definitely work hard, sir, and we'll take this as a challenge. And online teaching should be made more successful in coming years. Thank you so much, sir. Now I
Thank you,
welcome.
Sita.
Now I welcome keynote speaker, Dr. Charu Sharma, who is an associate professor in Department of English at Government College, Shahpur, Himachal Pradesh. She has been in the teaching profession for around 30 years, also the associate editor of Literary Voice since March 2017. She has 3 books to her credit and has published more than 24 papers in various journals and international journals. She has presented papers in the 30 national and international conferences, supervised 6 PhD and 12 MPhil students till date. I invite you, ma'am, to give insight on composite teaching learning methodology. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At the very onset, I would like to first thank the organizers of DAV Centenary College, Faridabad, for inviting me to this conference. And it's a very prestigious conference, international conference. I would especially like to thank the principal, Dr. Savita Bhagat, the conference coordinator, Mr. Shivam Cham, moderators, Ms. Ankita and Dr. Priyanka, and all the faculty and organizers and the esteemed speakers for being here with us. I'm saying us because I am also representing Literary Voice Journey. So because the conference is in collaboration with INET and Literary Voice, so I represent Literary Voice as the associate editor. So I would like to thank you, and I welcome also from the platform of Literary Voice. Thank you so much. I would immediately like to go to whatever I have to speak on, because I would not like to waste too much of time on that. And I would like to share my screen for that. Just a minute, I'll just share my screen. And yes. The very first slide that I have over here is one part is about the Literary Voice. And the second part is on the topic that I'm going to speak on, that is composite teaching learning methodology. You can see I have made a collage of the cover pages of a few of the Literary Voices. The yellow one is the latest one, and which is the the March 21 issue. And Literary Voice, I'll be going through the various slides and I'll be talking a little about it. That is the first part of my the speech or the address that I'm going to make. And the second is about the composite teaching learning methodology. Now, when I'm going to talk about the composite teaching learning methodology over here, I'm going to specifically talk in reference to the shifting paradigms, as we've been talking about it in teaching learning scenario post COVID-19. Now, change is the law of nature that we all know. And in this time, when we are all changing from, and the new normal is coming and we're trying to adjust to the new normal, we need to appreciate the new normal. But to appreciate the new normal, we also need to keep in touch and not forget. And we also need to analyze the change, the shift that is going to be there. I would now move to first the slides of Literary Voice. And if you see this next slide, it is about Literary Voice, which is a peer-reviewed journal. And you have the ISSN number over there, the UGC, it's a UGC CARE approved Group 2 journal. and you can check it on the Pune University website. It's an indexed journal. I have put up all the index. You can check up all these details on the internet also. If you will type Literary Voice Journal and you open the site, you will get all these details over there also. Now, Literary Voice started in 1988, and but it had a spasmodic journey since 1988, but it became regular since 2012. The March issue, which was a very creditable thing for all of us at the Literary Voice who work, the March issue carried 300 pages, and that is of 2020. And the March issue of 2021 had more than 370 pages. The only issue we missed was the September issue in 20. And the reason, of course, is the COVID-19. Wide range of topics are covered in the journal. You have a list on the left. You can see there's a list of the associate editors. There are 4 of them, and the editorial advisory board, which is not only of India, but it is beyond the Indian boundaries, and it goes for the international standards as well. So it is India and abroad, and they are very eminent people who have been working very hard to bring this Literary Voice Journal to these particular standards where it is so well indexed. We have the reviewers over here, and in the reviewers, the latest one to join is Dr. Sushila Shekhawat from BITS Pilani, because her name is not there in the reviewers list. So we have reviewers from Mumbai, from Iran, Turkey, Canada, Vellore, all these places we have our reviewers from here. Next, I would like to talk about the person who initiated this project, and this was Dr. T.S. Anand. Of course, he's an eminent academician, and at the moment he is in Toronto. And but he has had a very difficult, arduous journey, and has worked very hard to reach this particular stage where he's able to have such an established journal to his name. And we really thank him for giving us these opportunities also to collaborate with the various universities for their webinars, seminars, and conferences now. It's his hard work to do that. Next are the ethics policy of the Literary Voice. And in the ethics policies, you can all read these details on the net, but what I would like to specifically talk about is that the author who is submitting the article, he must ensure that the work has not been published, is not under consideration elsewhere, the copyright has not been breached, and there's a proper acknowledgement of all the sources. Publication has been approved by all co-authors, and it is an original work. Of course, the journal has a zero tolerance for plagiarism, and we do check. Let me tell you, because I'm an associate editor and I do review journals, all the articles, quite a few of them, of course, they're divided, but we do check for plagiarism. And so it should not be taken that if you've written the zero tolerance, it's not. So because that is not right, it should be an original work. Then there are guidelines for authors which are there, and I'm sure the authors will take note of all those guidelines. The format of the paper, that is also there, whether the whatever the author has to use. The MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers, 8th edition. Then, of course, how the title, subtitle, abstract, keywords, the name of the author or author's designation, etc. And the article should be around 2,500 to 3,000 words. But we also include even if it extends to 3,500 to 4,000. But of course, I have come across people who have either made it too flimsy or they are too huge. And we have to keep telling the authors to cut it down. So it is always better that, the format of the paper is adhered to. And of course, the last dates are always 30th November and 31st May for March and September issues. The address is there. One can always send their articles on these journals. There's a peer review process. The peer review process is, of course, very strict also. And all papers are peer reviewed. And some papers are reviewed not once, but 2, 3, 4 times also. And we do send them back also. If there are any corrections, we do send them back like that. Membership, I'm not going to talk. Also, I would also like to talk about the fact that we do not take any money. There is no publication charges are there. But yes, mandatory LV subscription would be there once you've submitted your article for publication. Because I'm representing LV, the Literary Voice Journal, so I had to discuss and I had to justify also my journal. And I thank Shivam for giving me this opportunity to collaborate, with your conference from the Literary Voice also. Thank you so much. I would now move on to the next part of my, the address, and that is about composite teaching learning methodology. Now, this is what I'm going to speak on is about post-COVID-19. I would like to start my, I will just read the quote by Charles Dickens, which says, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way." How right is this quote of Charles Dickens from Hard Times? Just replace the was with is. And now read it. It is the best of times. It is the worst of times. We have seen all through 2020 and all through the time so far, half of 2021, we have seen that there have been good times. People have been living with their families, with their loved ones, doing things together. But yes, it has been the worst of times. People who got affected by this pandemic, people who have lost their jobs, people who have gone homeless, and so much more. There's no end. So they've been the best of times and they've been the worst of times in all ways. Age of wisdom, of course, we learned so many things and we're still learning. And it has been the age of foolishness also for many things. When we are careless, of course, it is the age of foolishness because that is bringing the waves back, the wave 2 and the wave 3, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into those details. I would rather stick to my topic, that is about teaching and learning. So I think you can go back to this particular quote of Dickens and you can think about it again after I end with my speech. And now going to the post-COVID-19, there are few things over here that I've written. The new normal, that is what we are talking about. Normal, what was the normal? What were the parameters of normal? It is moving, there's a shift from there. Now, when we are talking about paradigm shift, as Mr. Molji had said, that yes, it was Kuhn who talked about the complete change that has to be there. Yes, we are moving to a complete change, but maybe not in the coming times to complete. Yes, there'll be changes, and those will be the new normal in education. Now, new normal in education has brought e-teaching learning. We'll say that yes, there was a lot of e-teaching and learning with smart classrooms and other things already going on. And in all the professional courses, there were MOOCs and online courses. But how has it changed now? Now go to every college, rural, semi-rural, urban, anywhere. It is all e-teaching and learning. That is the new word for the day. That is the new normal. And this is going to stay in a different way, about which I'm going to talk a little later. Now, what has happened in this teaching and learning? We have an effaced teacher. Now I write that E and an F. Why? Because we effaced. The teacher's face is not there. Teacher's board is there. Teacher's screen is there. The student's screen is there. So it is all screen. What I'm doing now also, I'm an effaced speaker at the moment until I put my face on it. And just think if this webinar would have been a face-to-face kind of a seminar or a conference, what wonders it would have done. Interacting with each other, talking to each other over a cup of tea, over lunch, outside that, staying together at different places and then interacting. Now that kind of an interaction has debilitated. whether it is in teaching, whether it is seminars, conferences, learning processes, that interaction has actually debilitated. It has reduced so much that there is hardly any interaction now. We are not able to interact, and that human touch is lost somewhere. We are just e-faced teachers. We are faces as an factor, but we are actually e-faced. There are no faces. There can be another face and somebody is teaching. That is what YouTube is doing with all those, lessons that are coming. Then is zero kinesics. The body language of a teacher as well as of the student, it makes a lot of difference. Just one look at the student or one look at the teacher can make both of them react differently. It can make them understand. So there are zero kinesics. Non-traditional teaching tools, we are using various platforms, various teaching tools we are using. Then coming to deteriorating speaking, writing, learning, memorizing skills. I'm a little fast in my speaking because I have the time constraint as well. So please bear with me. Deteriorating speaking, writing skills are there because we are not actually making the students practice how to speak, to write. They're giving just maybe a 5-minute presentation, which can be not very effective. So they're speaking, writing, learning. Now why I'm focusing on these, because in the new normal, we need to focus on how we are going to improvise on all this. That is why I'm talking about these things. We all know. We'll all say that, oh yes, what I'm talking, we all know that. There's nothing new about it. New is that how we are going to improvise on it. New is what we can do. We have to think on that. The outcome of this conference should be that we are able to say on the last day, tomorrow, the last session, we should be able to talk in the valedictory that yes, we've learned how we can improvise on all this. Then as watching, binging, distancing is on rise. We are watching, we are always on the screen, we are watching various things, and online screen, not responsive. We are binging because we can always go back to recorded sessions and we can sift through those notes and do only that much which is required for our exam. And this is creating the distancing between everything, between knowledge, curriculum, teacher, and knowledge beyond the curriculum. So this distance is right because there's an increased digital competence, of course, within students, with the teachers, with the world around, and we are made even the parents very competent digitally. So that is, of course, a positive thing, but digital, where there is too much of digital, there's loss of human touch. Now, the second screen, I'll quickly go through this, the second slide about my topic. If you see, if we'll start from the first one, that is about before self-motivation, if you go, it is about isolation. And what does that isolation mean? Now, isolated, we all know we are living in isolated worlds at the moment, but what has this isolation done? The personal connect is lost, the peer connect is lost, the emotional connect is lost, and the experience of being in an educational institution, the environment, the landscape, the canteens, everything is lost in this. Now we need to think about that. So that social, because college is a place which gives you freedom, or any institution, any educational institution, it is a workplace for teachers and students, and a workplace where you're thinking about your work, for that particular time, your problems, your personal problems, your home problems, or problems at any other front, they're all totally lost. So this particular, educational institution becomes a place for freedom. It's a workspace where you can do so much more. It also gives you a motivation, so it gives you those initiatives, and it opens a whole wide world. But that has been stopped. We have got isolated on that front. And to keep up with that, we need to motivate our own self, whether it is to read, to study, to attend a webinar, be it teachers, be it students. I'm going side by side because this is a complementary kind of a thing. With teaching, it cannot be one way, and learning cannot be one way. Even we are learners, even at this stage, of our careers, we are still learners. We'll always remain learners, and that is how we tend to succeed also. So time management's got to be there. I will rather move to one-way communication quickly. One-way zone is there. I can see there's some of them. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I thought that there was a message that was coming that kindly unmute. So I thought maybe something went wrong. Okay, so this is a one-way communication is there because we are just communicating one way. It's either the teacher speaking and the student hardly speaks. So we really don't know what we are communicating and how much is being understood. Curriculum knowledge. What I was saying before that was that I can see hands being raised. So if there are any questions, they can be put in the chat box and maybe I could answer them in the chat box later. Then there is the curriculum knowledge, of course. We are not going beyond curriculum knowledge, whatever time we have. When we are in a classroom, we tend to, of course, talk about so many things, experiences of life. We talk about our day-to-day experiences, but when we are doing something like this, when we are doing it in an e-way, then of course we restrict ourselves to curriculum knowledge also. Just like this work from home, now it is education at home. So work from home and education from home, so everything is from home now. Of course, the pandemic has forced us for that, but I don't think so. I'll come to that kind of a thing a little later where I've written hybrid education. That is what it's going to be, because I'm saying from education at home, I'm moving to creative, exploring new methods. And of course, MOOCs and online classes, which were there for professional students earlier, now they are, whether it's Swayam or Neptel or all of these, they're opening up their horizons, they're widening their horizons. And even in rural colleges, we are actually motivating students to go through the courses of Swayam and Neptel and other MOOCs that are there and go for online classes. And in this online classes and MOOCs where you have a lot of time with you, of course we cannot eliminate courses which are being given by Coursera or Udemy. Many students, many people are doing them, and they're on varied topics which we might not be doing in our curriculums. So that is, of course, opening up their horizons to new things also, which is very good. Not only students, but to teachers also. It's opening up. So that is where we are going beyond the curriculum, where we have moved beyond the curriculum about it. Now talking about hybrid education, academic writing, webinars, and self-growth. These become together. It's a total package. Hybrid education is going to stay now. They are going to be online and offline. That is going to be the new normal now. That is going to be after post-COVID. It's not going to be totally offline. If we are thinking we are going to go totally offline, it won't be there. It will have to have a composite teaching. That is what I'm saying. Composite teaching learning where there's going to be hybrid education. The E factor will remain over here now. The e-learning and teaching will remain over here. So there's going to be offline and online. So what we need to do is we need to prepare ourselves very well on this now. We need to prepare our platforms. We need to have accessibility, affordability about all these things. And we have to find out ways how we are actually going to improvise on this kind of education in any institution, and what we have to do for all this so that we are able to focus on certain important factors, whether it is isolation or whether it is about motivation, all these. And academic writing, this is where literary voice would also come for teachers also. When there used to be seminars, conferences, they would have the students help them arrange the seminars and conferences, which was a learning experience for the students also. Now, of course, the teachers are also in isolation. So we are doing these also, webinars, seminars, conferences, whatever it is, in isolation only. And of course, it is definitely giving us, when we are doing an in-depth reading about so many things, it is giving us new horizons. It is giving us insights into new fields. And we need to put all that into academic writing. Now, if we are talking about post-COVID-19 shifting paradigms in teaching, this itself becomes very important. And we are very soon, we are already seeing so many books, so many research papers coming on this. Very soon, we'll be seeing academic writing work coming up on this, which is important, which is, of course, going to be very good for our self-growth. Now, I would like to move to, 1 second, just a minute. Yeah, the last one, which is on the paradigm shift post-COVID. It is an ongoing experiment. So this is an ongoing experiment that we're still doing it. So in the ongoing experiment, there's going to be success, there's going to be failure. Let us not be disheartened by the failures. Let us move towards the success and see how we are going to make this experiment successful. About hybrid education, about webinars, which I've talked about. Then there are, of course, flexible timelines for everyone now. Behavioral changes we are seeing in students and in teachers. Now, these behavioral changes are very important because we need to really see where the introverts and extroverts, and we are giving rise to a generation which is either too self-motivated or they lack self-motivation completely. And this generation which is going to be in front of us, from our own families also, our own children also, we have to be careful with them because they will have social anxiety, they will have their own kind of pressures, and they would prefer not to interact until really necessary. They'll be tired talking to people because they're not used to it, they want to keep quiet. And they fall in a routine, in a different kind of routine and discipline. This can be depressive also. So we will need to deal with them at these. And we must not forget as teachers that teachers play a very important role, not just in the curriculum or in the lives of students in career making, but in the behavior, in the thinking. As I always tell, the teachers do not write on blackboards. Teachers are not going to now write only on screens or speak on screens. Teachers write on the mind. And whatever we are writing on the mind goes into the subconscious of the child for a long, long time. So we need to actually be taking care of all these things as well. Now, extroverts, they become too much of social media. They love too much of social media. And that too can be harmful for them. They can land into all kinds of traps. So this is where we need to actually be thinking about the paradigm shift that is there. It is not just curriculum. It is not just knowledge. It is not just what we are teaching or making internal assessments. No, a teacher is writing on the minds of these students. Teacher is writing on the minds of students who are ultimately going to be the society tomorrow. So that is very important. I've already talked about accessibility and affordability, that we have to make it accessible to far off places, far flung areas. I'll just give one example. I know students who are, the accessibility is not there. So they cannot come on Google Meet classes. There's no net the connectivity over there. So what they do is they would tell the teacher that let us only be on the WhatsApp groups. So, or on the Telegram group, so that they can at least see the messages, or they can. So all these platforms, whether it is a Meet platform, whether it's WhatsApp, Telegram, or various other platforms that we are using, we have to see that accessibility and affordability both are there for the poor and the rich. Let us not just take the rich and the middle class. We must take the, and I know because I'm teaching in a semi-rural college, and I know what it means to teach in a semi-rural college with students. In a family, if there are 3 children, only one has the phone. All of them have to use the same phone one by one. So it is better when we send something on a WhatsApp, or even if we are sending them some questions or multiple choice on a Google form, so they are able to do it one by one. So we do give them those flexible timelines. Okay, that it's not necessary that you have to submit now. You can submit it a little later, because we do know that. Then coming to the physical and mental health, of course, physical health, because students are sitting from 8 in the morning till 6. no physical activity, or they're evading, they're putting their audios, videos on mute, and then they're either sleeping or exercising or watching something else. So we need to take care of that and see and ensure how we are going to do it. These are questions before us. This is the paradigm shift. These are questions in front of us. Teacher-learner ratio also. We think that we are able to have as big a class. The Zoom meet can have 100 people or more than that. In the same way, when we are teaching online, we can have as many. No, how are we going to assess them if there's going to be a high teacher-learner ratio? How are we going to correct them? We will not. This is going to have an impact on performance and efficiency of everyone, whether it is the student, whether it is the teacher. So we need to keep these things. What I've tried to do is raise a few questions over here for everyone to think. I want all of you to think on these things or the points that I have referred to, because the attention span is reducing, multitasking is going on. And when I'm talking about multitasking, I'm also talking about the fact, I'll rather give you an example of multitasking that, yes, multitasking. One day we were having a meet, and in the meet I see one student, he was in his wheat fields because there was harvesting of wheat going on. So the student was in the multitasking. He's listening to that listening is like listening to songs on the radio, or that listening is like listening to a podcast with maybe less attention the span. Then, of course, there was another girl who was washing utensils in her home, and she had put the phone, her mobile, and she was listening also. So the listening is there, but how effective? Otherwise, in a classroom, the student would listen and write. And even if the child is not writing, one look of the teacher will make the child write. But that is something that we are not being able to do at the moment. So what I would say is that we need to focus on these issues. So my keynote address ends here on this particular point, that keeping the new normal, keeping the paradigm shift, it's going to be there. This is here to stay. Digital will stay. That is there. And we have to deal with this crisis. It is not just the crisis of the pandemic. It is the crisis of a new society that is going to emerge after this. A new society which is going to be there, the new society which is in our hands at the moment. The society that is going to be there for the next half a century. That is what I have to say. Thank you so much. If there are questions, I'll just check up the chat box and I'll start answering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your words were very wonderful, and we should actually learn that we should understand the behavioral changes and the personality types of our students also. And they are also trying their level best to cope up with the online teaching, and we should also put our 100% so that we can have the maximum output. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
We also have with us guest of honor, Professor Niranjan Kumar Ji. He is Professor, Department of Hindi, Faculty of Arts, University of Delhi, with approximately 25 years of experience. He was twice selected in the prestigious Civil Service Examination of India and was selected in RBI Grade B exam. In USA universities, he was evaluated among the top quartile of the teachers. In 2006, Sir was awarded Bhasha Ratna Samman by Gemini Academy of Haryana. He has published 4 books and over 170 articles. Sir has also attended 40 seminars, including in 5 international seminars, and many more achievements in his credit. I invite you, sir, and looking forward to hear you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. आज के कार्यक्रम के अध्यक्ष शिवरामन जी, जो दुर्भाग्य से हमारे बीच मौजूद नहीं है, प्रोफेसर राजवीर सिंह जी जो कार्यक्रम में अपना स्पीच देने के बाद छोड़ चुके हैं, चारू शर्मा जी, डॉक्टर सविता भगत जी, प्राचार्य डीएवी कॉलेज, सबसे पहले आप लोगों का धन्यवाद कि आपने मुझे यहाँ आने का मौका दिया। एक बात के लिए मैं आप लोगों से क्षमा चाहूंगा कि अंग्रेजी भाषा मुझे बहुत अच्छी नहीं आती है। गांव से पढ़ा हूँ, हिंदी माध्यम से पढ़ा हूँ, उच्च शिक्षा भी, चूंकि मैं हिंदी भाषा, मीडिया और साहित्य का विद्यार्थी हूँ, तो हिंदी में ही उच्च शिक्षा भी हुई, पढ़ाता भी हिंदी में ही हूँ। अंग्रेजी थोड़ी बहुत सीखी है, लिख पढ़ लेता हूँ, थोड़ा बोल भी लेता हूँ टूटी फूटी। But since it is an international conference and many of the participants across the world are participating in this program, they may not be very comfortable with the Hindi language if I speak in. So I would like to, or I would try to speak in English with a caveat that please bear with my English, and if you don't understand it properly, not only excuse me, but also excuse yourself for my great English. So, since a couple of speakers previously already told the shifting paradigm in the education sector in post-COVID scenario. So I will not go into details of the post-COVID scenario as far the digital learning is or online learning is taking place, the digital divide in India or across the world or many parts of the world, or what are the shortcomings of online teaching, the health hazard to many of the students, or the digital divide, or the concentration span of the students, or so social skills and social values the students are not learning, or that is not getting imparted through this online education. These are the things which many of the participants would be speaking in details with all the facts and figures, how many schools have been closed physically, I mean, and how many percentage of the students are not having the gadgets or the smartphones or the data and all. I will not go into details of all those things. I will raise some philosophical questions with regard to this theme of the program, the shifting paradigm. My first question is, what is teaching and learning? A related question to this is, when we say teaching and learning, it means education. So what is education? That is in Hindi or in our Indian languages, it is translated as Shiksha. And what is Shiksha and Vidya? So what is the difference between this Shiksha and Vidya? Shiksha is translated as education, which means teaching and learning, while Vidya does not have any counterpart in English language or maybe the Western languages. I know only one Western language, though I know a couple of Indian languages like Bengali, Urdu, and some other dialects of Hindi, but only English is the language which the Western language I know. So since English, the Vidya is not there, it may not be there also in other Western languages, because Vidya is purely an Indian concept. My third question, which is also related, post-COVID we are talking about, but do we think of, or should we think of also pre-COVID? That is post-COVID or pre-COVID? Do we need a shifting paradigm or paradigm shift in education? And my last point, how the bureaucrats or the educational administrator, basically the bureaucrats, and many of our policy makers who toe the line of the bureaucrats of the Western mind, what is their goal of, or what is their concept of education? These are a couple of questions on which I would like to deliberate something, and which may be also some talking point for your technical sessions. So when we say teaching and learning, and when I say that teaching and learning means education, that is Shiksha. Shiksha comes from the Sanskrit root Sikh. Sikh, that means Sikhna, or to learn when someone is teaching you something. The learning can be here, can be anything learning. It can be a book learning, it can be a psychomotor learning, it can be a skill learning. Sometimes it can be a negative learning also, that you are taking a training or learning of how to become a atanki, the terrorist. So these are the things which Shiksha encompasses, while Vidya is something, a bigger concept in our Indian Indian Vangamai or Indian thought tradition. So when we say Vidya, Vidya comes from the Sanskrit root vid. Vid means to know, to learn, to understand, to deliberate, to interpret, to discuss, and all in a righteous manner. So when you take some Shiksha, you become an educationist or Shikshak or Shiksharathi, but you cannot become a Vidwan. You become a Vidwan, scholar, a righteous scholar, only when you take or learn Vidya. And that is why we don't say Shiksha Dadati Vinayam, we say Vidya Dadati Vinayam. In our Indian tradition, we have a concept of Vidyarthi. We don't have a concept of Shiksharathi. We have a concept of Vidyalaya. It is not a Shikshalaya or a school. That is why the teachers of Shikshak is a modern concept. The Indian traditional concept was Guru, and Guru is much higher and bigger concept than that of a Shikshak, which the teaching learning only says or interprets or explains. So when I say Shiksha and Vidya, Vidya encompasses more than what Shiksha or education express or betrays. So Vidya encompasses the Gyan or the knowledge, Pragya or the wisdom, Satya or truth. So everything comes into Vidya, which education or Shiksha or the Western paradigm cannot simply explain, cannot simply impart in their education system. Not only that, even like you see the Abraham Maslow, you must have heard of, the behavioral psychologist. When he talks of his need theory, then he gave the hierarchy theory of needs of 5 needs. And out of 5 needs, the first 3 needs are served by this Shiksha or the education, which the Western paradigm imposed us in last 200 years or 250 years ago, or it is still getting implemented or pursued or continued by our educational policy makers even after independence. That is one of the tragedy of this our education system or education paradigm, is that we simply followed the same British model or colonial model or Western model of our education system, which was not Indian. So there is a need of paradigm shift in education sector, whether it is curriculum, whether it is pedagogy, whether it is goal of the education. So these are the paradigm shift which we require. I will go more into detail about this, but see, these are the points first I wanted to tell. So Maslow when said that the 5 theory of needs, indirectly he also realizes that the first 3 needs can be fulfilled by this Western model of education. That is physiological need. Then the second need is need for security and safety. Third is need for comfort, love, and intimation. These 3 needs can be fulfilled by this the education. But to some extent, even the 4th need, that is need for self-esteem. But the 5th need, what Maslow said, the self-actualization cannot be fulfilled by this our education, what we call education, quote unquote, which is taking place in our India also, apart from the whole world, or of course the Western system. Even Plato, always we anything which goes in the world goes by Plato, because Plato was considered to be the sage who said everything about everything. But we said many things much before Plato. I'll give a couple of examples, like not every regarding mathematics or physics or biology or so many things, surgery. we were way ahead of all Western paradigms, Western education policies, Western thinking, Western education, Western knowledge, and Western research. I will not go much into detail about that. I will give just only one example, which many of you may be also knowing. Surgery. Even few years back, I don't think that many of you may be knowing it. Still, many of you may not be knowing that Susrut, there is a name person Susrut, and his statue is there in the Medical College of Australia at the front gate, and it was written, the first surgeon of the world. In Australia's Medical College, statue of a man Susrut is there, and there is a written something behind in the below, first surgeon of the world. Who was Susrut? He was an Indian person, and he around 2000 years back, even before, I think it was before Christ or AD, I don't remember exactly. But Susrut, he wrote a big his book on the history, the commentary on everything regarding surgery. It has been detailed and documented, but we didn't know that. But what surgery, whenever the surgery is taken into account, only the reference is the Western paradigm, Western knowledge system. I'm not saying that whatever Susrut did that time, that can be modeled or that can be accepted in toto at present time when the medical science has developed so much. But it was already there long before, when even the Westerns were moving in tribal as it tribals. So another example, when I said that regarding the education, what Maslow said in 1941, Plato definitely said something similar, but much after what our Indian sages said. He said knowledge, education, he said only education, because Vidya is not there with those people, the Western paradigm. So he said education, goal of education is not to only put knowledge in the soul, rather bring out the latent soul, directing towards right objects. To some extent, even Plato realizes that right education or righteousness is very much necessary for society, for knowledge, and for education. But our Indian sages said long before in Vishnu Puran, it has been written, Ya Vidya, Sa Vidya, Ya Vimuktaye. Vidya is that which liberates, and liberates from everything. All the boundaries of society, mental, physical, psychological, all the boundaries. So these are the things which even Dayananda Saraswati, the inspiration behind the DAV colleges, he emphasized on humanism, righteousness, self-control, all these virtues. So Vidya is something which is more related to the virtues apart from Shiksha, whose basic goal is to have some employability or some vocational training or skills or some good grades or good marks or learning some new techniques and all. In current time, when you say talking about the online education and all, what we are doing that we are learning some how to, you are expert of on internet, you're expert of all this Word and MS Office or PowerPoint presentation. You make simple good presentations and that. But that does not make you a complete, not even a Vidya with, not even a Shiksha with properly. Because these things are not fulfilling the three goals which any education or any Vidya should have. Forget about Vidya, even the present education, the education which we are following, particularly in India or also around the world, any Shiksha should have three goals in its curriculum, in its pedagogy, and in its objective. So even these three things are not getting fulfilled by this education. When you talk of, and these three things can be understood in three ways: this pedagogy, curriculum, and goal. Whether it is in the interest of individual, that is student, whether it is interest of society, that is nation or society or one at large. We talk of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam also, apart from our nation and Rashtra. And also whether it is in the interest of pool of knowledge and academics, pre-COVID or post-COVID. When I say post-COVID, of course, technology is something which is, we talk about more, that is online education or digital education. We never think of or talk of the curriculum. We don't talk of the goal of the education. Again, I'm saying only Siksha Vidya is something which is very high, which we are not still able to pursue, though fortunately new education policy, apart from Siksha, it very clearly says in its introduction that character building or the attainment of the Gyan, Pragya and Satya, that's knowledge, wisdom and truth. That is also a very important goal for this NEP 2020. So when I was talking about this current education policy or current education system, whether curriculum, pedagogy or the objective, whether it serves the interest of individual, pre-COVID or post-COVID. I told just now, only online or the digital part we are talking about. We are not thinking and talking of curriculum, the text and content, discourse, concepts, paradigms, which has been totally borrowed from the Western society. All our discussion points, everything is a reference point is the West, Europe. I'll give a couple of examples. Like example is dharma. We always say dharma, religion and mazhab. Very easily we translate dharma into religion and mazhab. We must know, we must understand dharma is a much bigger concept than a religion or mazhab, which is a very narrow concept. Religion and mazhab is purely a puja paddhati. It's a way to pray God, to reach God. While dharma does include this puja paddhati, how to reach God, how to pray God, it can be different from different societies. But only puja paddhati is not dharma. Dharma is much more than that. Even a manushya has a dharma. There is a dharma of a sikshak. There is a dharma of a chhatra. There is a dharma of that कि हम सब पर दया करना चाहिए. ये धर्म है, मनुष्य का धर्म है. ये मानव धर्म है कि हम असत्य ना बोलें. एक पड़ोसी का धर्म होता है. And no way it is माता पिता का धर्म है, पुत्र का धर्म है. No way it is religious or mazhabi in the Western sense. It is purely this worldly or to some extent that worldly also. It is more spiritual than something only puja paddhati. But we all the time, whenever we say dharma, we all immediately translate into religion and mazhab. This paradigm shift is required pre-COVID or post-COVID. Concept of nation. Nation is something which emerged in Europe in 15th or 16th century. Or even the nation state was very different from what happened in the ancient Greek. Our Rashtra is different from this political nation which emerged in Europe because of the wars, because of the ethnic identity, because of the one single language. These were the common points because of which nation emerged. We immediately translate nation, the political concept, into a Rashtra, which is very ancient. The word Rashtra was used even in Rigved, when those Europeans were in the tribal, I'll say, tribal state of civilization. Some states were, of course, the Roman Empire was there later on, or the Greek Empire. But even these empires were very, very later time in the history as compared to our ancient history of our Rigvedic period. Though Rigvedic period, because of this European conspiracy, I will tell you once again, because it was a white superiority, and when they had to rule this India and also the whole world, they had to impose certain concepts, certain ideology, where they had to subjugate the indigenous people, and not only politically, psychologically, and culturally. So many of the concepts were used just because of that. One more example I will give, 1857. I'll tell you, till 30, 40, 50 years ago, we used to call it Sepoy Mutiny, Sipahi Vidroh, or Bagawat. Bagawat from whom? The British Empire. It was not a Bagawat, and all the intellectuals and historians toward the line of British historians. Had Veer Savarkar was not there, who first time called it First War of Independence, and later on, of course, now all Indian historians have accepted. Even the Marxist historians, the subaltern historians who always talk of the weaker section and the working class or subalterns, they never took into account that how 1857 was the first freedom struggle. So it is not, I'm saying, their fault. It may be deliberate, it may be unknowingly, but Western paradigm was always there to subjugate psychologically, culturally, educationally, and mentally the indigenous people across the world, and also India, because we were the colony of England. So paradigm shift is required in that sense also. When you talk of societal or national interest, of course, we know, I will not go much into detail how the digital things is going to be not very beneficial if we totally depend on digital learning, and panacea of everything is digital learning and online learning, as the many of the bureaucrats or the policymakers are saying. Fortunately, many sane voices are saying that both can be blended. But even when they say both can be blended, offline and online, but they don't talk of the paradigm shift for curriculum. They don't talk of paradigm shift of the goal of education or goal of Vidya. What we are doing, we know that post-COVID has showed us the limitation of your money, whatever money you are having. But a simple virus made you, the life of near and dear that lost in spite of having all the money. How much powerful you were, or anyone was, we couldn't help. The virus will not going to help or to bow down just because you are very powerful. Or we have seen the ephemerality of the life, human life. So post-COVID has showed all those things, that righteousness or the human values or the sense of spirit or the spirit of service or the preservation or the importance of nature, how everything is so important. And a simple that education which we are imparting in our schools, colleges, and university, pre-COVID or post-COVID for last some time, when the character is not built. There's some Western saying, maybe I don't remember the name of that thinker or politician, who said, when health has gone, something, or wealth has gone, something has gone, wealth has gone, nothing has gone, health has gone, something has gone, character has gone, everything has gone. So character building is something which is very, very important. And the paradigm shift for that is required, so that we can have, in the pre-COVID it was required, and post-COVID it is also required. I'm not here diminishing or reducing the value of education or the online education or the curriculum which is taking place nowadays, whose goal is only outcome-based learning. That is also required, outcome-based learning, or your employability or some skills. These are also important to live something, to live or to survive. But man is more than a simple animal. Vidya vihina pashu samana. पशु भी खा पी के जी लेता है, जानवर भी है, खाता है, पीता है, उसको खाने पीने के लिए कुछ चाहिए। जीवन सिर्फ खाने पीने और जीने के लिए नहीं है, जीवन को सार्थक करने की आवश्यकता है, इसीलिए मनुष्य योनि हमें मिली है। And if we couldn't do that, whole our education is simply in vain, is a fiasco. So what we need today is a paradigm shift in our whole education system, which fortunately this government is trying to do. I don't know to what extent it will be successful, because only government cannot do everything. It's the people, we teachers, we professors, research scholars and students and policymakers, all the stakeholders, they have a stake on this. Only then there can be a change and there can be a real new India. I will not take much time today. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. We have with us today D.V. Sethi, sir, who is an office bearer in DAV CMC. Sir has always been with us and supported and guided us. Sir has joined us today for sharing his blessings and giving blessings to all the participants. Sir, I request you to please bless us with your words.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना जी?
हाँ जी, sir. You are audible.
परम श्रद्धेय प्रोफेसर राजबीर सिंह जी, वाइस चांसलर महर्षि दयानंद विश्वविद्यालय, डॉक्टर चारू शर्मा जी ऑफ लिटरेरी वॉइस, और उनसे पहले अमोल जी ने हमें जो इसका प्रीलूड दिया, इस 2 दिन की कॉन्फ्रेंस का, डॉक्टर निरंजन कुमार, डॉक्टर हरीश अरोड़ा। डॉक्टर निरंजन कुमार और हरीश अरोड़ा जी से तो मेरी भेंट हुई है और चर्चा भी हुई थी। 2 दिन का ये जो सत्र है, 2 दिन का जो कार्यक्रम है विभिन्न सत्रों में, उसके संबंध में कहने से पूर्व मैं डीएवी कॉलेज प्रबंध कर्तृ समिति की ओर से वाइस चांसलर महोदय का और आप सभी का, जितने भी यहाँ पर प्रबुद्ध वक्ता आए हैं और श्रोता भी बैठे हुए हैं, उनका हार्दिक अभिनंदन, स्वागत करता हूँ। डीएवी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक ऐसी संस्था है भारत भर में जिसकी 1000 संस्थाएं, चाहे वो विश्वविद्यालय के रूप में हो, कॉलेज के रूप में हो, स्कूलों के रूप में हो, चल रही हैं। शायद ही कोई ऐसा राज्य होगा जिसमें हमारी संस्था ना हो। और मुझे ये कहते हुए भी गर्व की अनुभूति होती है कि जो कॉलेज, डीएवी शताब्दी महाविद्यालय फरीदाबाद, जो ये 2 दिन का आयोजन जिसने किया है, उस कॉलेज की नींव शायद प्रिंसिपल बंसल और मुझ द्वारा ही प्रभु ने सोची होगी कि रखी जाए। 1985 में इस कॉलेज की स्थापना की गई थी और आज यह कॉलेज महर्षि दयानंद विश्वविद्यालय ही नहीं, हरियाणा के सभी कॉलेजेस में अपना प्रथम स्थान बनाए। और आज डॉक्टर सविता जो इस कॉलेज का संचालन कर रही हैं, उसकी प्रिंसिपल हैं, मैं उनको भी अपनी ओर से धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने मुझे ये अवसर प्रदान किया कि मैं कुछ बातें आप सबसे साझी कर सकूं। ये विषय जो चुना गया है 2 दिन के विभिन्न सत्रों के माध्यम से और विभिन्न उद्बुद्ध वक्ताओं के माध्यम से जो विषय चुना गया है, वो अपने आप में बड़ा ही महत्वपूर्ण, change in the paradigm in the present scenario after कोविड। ये ठीक है कि एक कोट है, ओल्ड ऑर्डर चेंजेस यील्डिंग प्लेस टू न्यू, लेकिन जो न्यू है, जो नया है, उसकी जांच, उसकी परख किस कसौटी पर हम कर रहे हैं। मैं जब अपने कॉलेज के प्राध्यापकों से या स्कूल के अध्यापकों से पूछता हूं कि ऑनलाइन क्लासेज जो आप चला रहे हैं उसके संबंध में आपका क्या विचार है, जो वो बताया करते हैं कि नहीं जी हम पूरी देख रेख में चलाते हैं, परंतु मेरा अपना व्यक्तिगत अनुभव है कि इसका लाभ इस समय उतना नहीं हो रहा जितना शायद होना चाहिए था। प्रकृति ने हमें एक ऐसे मोड़ पर ला करके खड़ा कर दिया है कि आप बहुत खेल चुके, प्रकृति को बहुत बिगाड़ा है और अब आपकी बारी है। आप अपने मुख पर मास्क लगा लीजिए और बोलना बंद कर दीजिए, बहुत बोल चुके हैं। अभिप्राय कहने का ये है कि ठीक है कि पोस्ट कोविड के सिनेरियो में बहुत कुछ परिवर्तन भी आए, परंतु जहां तक अध्यापन का संबंध है, जो आनंद, जो आत्मीयता एक क्लासरूम में होती है, जबकि एक अध्यापक या प्राध्यापक अपने विद्यार्थियों के साथ आंख में आंख मिला करके बात करता है, पढ़ाता है, उनके प्रश्नों का उत्तर देता है, उनकी शंकाओं का समाधान करता है, वो जो आनंद है वो आज ऑनलाइन क्लासेस के बारे में या ऑनलाइन क्लासेस के माध्यम से शायद हम वो चीज प्राप्त नहीं कर पाए। वो आत्मीयता जो क्लासरूम में होती है, एक जगह कहा गया, ठीक है वो प्रसंग अलग था, वह तुम्हारे और तुम उसके लिए चाहिए पारस्परिकता ही प्रिय। ठीक है वो किसी और प्रसंग में था, लेकिन यहां भी विद्यार्थी बैठे हैं, वो आपके लिए हैं, शिक्षक है वो विद्यार्थियों के लिए। जब आमने सामने बैठ करके हम उनकी बॉडी लैंग्वेज नहीं समझ सकते, उनका व्यवहार नहीं जान सकते, तो हम क्या सोचेंगे कि एक व्यक्ति हमारे सामने तो है ही नहीं, अपने घर में बैठा हुआ है, कुछ देर के लिए वो स्क्रीन के सामने आ जाएगा, उसके बाद वो इधर उधर हो जाएगा। कि ठीक है कि इस माध्यम से ग्लोबली भी हमारे साथ बहुत से लोग जुड़ते हैं और उनके अनुभव का हमें काफी कुछ लाभ भी प्राप्त हो जाता है, परंतु फिर भी हमें इस विषय में बहुत ही सोचना पड़ेगा, इसकी लाभ और मैं हानि नहीं कहूँगा, इसकी लाभ और कमियां क्या हैं, इस पर भी मैं समझता हूं कि 2 दिन के इस विचार विमर्श के दौरान विभिन्न सत्रों के माध्यम से इस संबंध में अवश्य में कुछ ना कुछ सामने निकल करके आएगी। मेरा विचार है कि ये मैं देख भी रहा हूं कि अभी तो समय बहुत लगेगा और भविष्य कैसा है, क्या हम वाकई ऑफलाइन क्लासेस चला सकते हैं या नहीं, इसके संबंध में अभी कुछ भी निर्णय नहीं लिया जा सकता। फिर भी यदि संभव हो सके तो कुछ इस प्रकार का आयोजन होना चाहिए ऑनलाइन क्लासेस के माध्यम से भी, कि जिससे ये हम अपने विद्यार्थियों को ये बता सके कि विद्या का अभिप्राय क्या है। केवल एक परीक्षा पास कर लेना विद्या ग्रहण का अभिप्राय नहीं। विद्या ददाति विनयम, क्या हमने विद्या प्राप्ति के बाद हम विनम्र हुए? क्या हम बड़ों की इज्जत करना सीख गए हैं? विद्या का ये भी एक उद्देश्य है। क्या हम अपने घरों में, ये ठीक है प्राय कहा जाता है पोस्ट कोविड के उपरांत हमारे जो परिवार हैं उन वो इकट्ठे बैठते हैं, जल पानी इकट्ठा करते हैं, बातचीत इकट्ठी करते हैं, मानता हूं, लेकिन आज के इस युग में, जबकि सब कुछ आपको गूगल पर प्राप्त हो जाता है, अपने अपने कमरों में बैठे हुए बच्चे जो हैं वो गूगल पर सब कुछ देखते हैं, और हम लोग क्या जानते हैं कि वो क्या देखते हैं। बहुत कुछ इसके फायदे भी हैं, नुकसान भी हैं, परंतु फिर भी 2 दिन के इस विचार विमर्श के अलग अलग जो सत्र हैं, मेरी अभिलाषा यही है कि विद्वत विद्वान जो हैं वो इस संबंध में अवश्य में विचार करें कि हम इस माध्यम से अपने विद्यार्थियों को, अपने श्रोताओं को, और स्कूल के बच्चे भी हैं, उन नन्हे मुन्ने बच्चों को भी कितना हम परिवार के प्रति आदर कितना सिखा रहे हैं, ये हम यदि सोच सकेंगे और उनके मन में ये बड़ों के प्रति आदर की भावना जागृत होगी, तो विद्या की प्राप्ति का उद्देश्य भी जो है वो हम प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। मैं 2 दिन के इस विभिन्न सत्रों के माध्यम से जो कुछ भी आप लोगों ने कहना है, सुनना है, उसके लिए अपनी ओर से शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बहुत अच्छी तरह ये सत्र चल रहे हैं, आज का सत्र भी बहुत अच्छी तरह चला, और एक बार फिर जो भी श्रोता यहाँ बैठे हैं, जो भी वक्ता यहाँ अपना अपना विचार देने के लिए, प्रस्तुत करने के लिए आए हैं, उनको मैं अपनी ओर से एक बार फिर बधाई देना चाहता हूँ और उनका आभार भी व्यक्त करना चाहता हूँ। एक बार फिर प्रिंसिपल डॉक्टर सविता भगत जी का भी आभार, जिन्होंने मुझे ये अवसर प्रदान किया कि मैं आपसे विचार विमर्श कर सकूं, अपना आदान प्रदान कर सकूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अपनी शुभकामनाएं आपके दोनों दिनों के अलग अलग सत्रों के लिए। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words and your blessings. I My sincere gratitude to Chief Guest Professor Rajbir Singh Sarji, who gave his vital time from his busy schedule to grace this conference. We have been fortunate enough to have sir with us today. Thank you so much, sir, in absentia, for his presence. I would also like to thank guest of honor, Professor Niranjan Kumarji, who graced us with his presence. Thank you, sir. I must not forget to thank the keynote speaker, Dr. Charu Sharma, for your lucid presentation. Thank you so much, ma'am. Special thanks to Secretary ANET, Professor Amol, who showed interest in us and collaborated for this conference. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Shubh ma'am, who joined us today for this event. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. We have been fortunate enough to be assisted by principals, ma'am, who have been a constant support and given us a lot of encouragement. Thank you so much, ma'am. Sethi sir, we are very much thankful to you for blessing us and always being a guiding force for us. All presenters are now requested to move to your respective break rooms, and attendees can join any of the break rooms. Kindly fill the attendance link mentioned in the chat box. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful being there.
नमस्ते डॉक्टर सेठी जी, नमस्कार, प्रणाम।
डॉक्टर साहब नमस्ते, क्या हाल है जी?
बस बढ़िया, शुभकामनाएं आपकी।
चलो, आपके दर्शन भी हुए इसी माध्यम से।
हमें
नमस्कार सविता जी, मुझे अनुमति है?
जी जी जी, धन्यवाद। थैंक यू सो मच
जी, बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू चारू जी।
हाँ जी सविता जी, मुझे भी आज्ञा है
सर। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम। थैंक यू।
चारू जी, बहुत सुंदर लगा आपका भी व्याख्यान।
थैंक यू सर। आपकी तरफ से इतनी अप्रिसिएशन मिलनी मेरे लिए बहुत ज्यादा मायने रखती है।
और सविता जी तो आप लोगों को हमें मिलवाती रहती है ना किसी माध्यम से।
जी सर, इसमें से
कभी ना कभी किसी न किसी माध्यम से मिलवाती रहती हैं, तो हमें बड़ी प्रसन्नता होती है। It's always an honor to us, to the DAVs, that you people come over here and deliver your lectures.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
wind up this session now?